Hey guys, sorry I haven't posted in like over a month by now. I've been pretty busy with some real life stuff. So anyway, Pokemon Black and White came out and I've been trying to get into the metagame, but I pretty much suck right now. Although you can't really tell in this battle, my opponent's not that great either. So anyway, he leads off with Azelf, and I'm going to go with Tyranitar. I thought about changing my lead because I saw the team preview, but it seemed that Tyranitar was a pretty good lead anyway. And I do need to get up Stealth Rock as soon as I can, so I'm just going to start off with him. So yeah, we both get off Stealth Rock, and I do have Crunch, which I can use to take him out, but I'm actually going to use Fire Blast on the switch, because I saw that he had a couple of Steel types, and I was hoping to catch one of them, but instead he sends in a Blissey, which was, that's really weird, because I mean, Blissey never switches into Tyranitar. It's really not a great switch in at all. He does get burned, which is kind of hacksy, but it doesn't really matter because he has Natural Cure, so it's not really that big of a deal anyway. So since he apparently is not going to switch to a Steel type, I'm just going to Crunch to see what he's going to send in next. And it looks like he's going back into his Azelf, actually. I'm not really sure what he's planning to do around Tyranitar, because from what I've seen of his team, he definitely has better switch-ins to Tyranitar than what he's been sending out so far. So yeah, I do get rid of Azelf at least, get him on the Crunch. And he goes into Lucario next, so I'm assuming it's a physical variety. And I'm actually going to stay in and Fire Blast him. It looks like I'm going to be KO'd, but I have the Chople Berry, which is going to protect me from fighting-type attacks. And since I'm in the Sandstorm and I get the special defense boost, it's really not going to do that much damage at all. Actually, it was kind of surprising that it was a special Lucario, because I pretty much never see those, even though I don't really play 5th Gen that much. So next he goes into Gyarados, and I really don't have anything to do against him, so I'm going to go into, which is probably my best Gyarados switch-in, Skarmory. And I'm going to be looking to see if he has Life Orb or Leftovers, because then I can kind of come up with a plan for what he'll do next. And he Dragon Dances, but I didn't really see Leftovers, so I'm assuming it's going to be the Life Orb variant, Offensive Dragon Dance Gyarados. So I'm just going to go for a Brave Bird, getting him down to lower HP. He gets a Waterfall in, but it actually doesn't do that much damage, which was surprising because I'm actually running a specially defensive set, so I really don't have that much physical defense at all. So I'm thinking about just stalling him out with Roost and Sandstorm because he apparently doesn't have Life Orb or Leftovers. I'm not really sure what item he has or if he even forgot to put an item. I don't really know. So I'm going to Roost a couple more times. I'm planning to just stall him out with the Sandstorm damage, and as soon as he gets to one turn before Sandstorm taking him out, I'm going to set up a layer of spikes, so it'll make it harder for him to switch around. So I get off my final Roost. He should die to Sandstorm on the turn after this one, as long as he doesn't switch out or anything like that. So yeah, really low health left, and he should die to Sandstorm after this. So instead of Roosting, I'm going to get up one layer of spikes, just trying to get something out of this matchup. So yeah, I survived that waterfall nicely. Luckily, I didn't get critted or anything like that. So I do get another layer of spikes up, and Gyarados goes down. And I know that he has some stuff to take care of Skarmory, but for some reason he sends in Scizor, which wasn't his best Skarmory switch-in. And I really wasn't thinking at this point. I probably should have Whirlwinded, but I actually used Roost. I think I forgot that Skarmory actually outspeeds Scizor, to be honest. And he's actually a Swords Dance Scizor. Apparently they're pretty popular in 5th Gen, which is kind of surprising because I didn't see that many in 4th Gen at all. So he tries to get greedy here, going for his second Swords Dance, but I'm going to Whirlwind him out before he can do anything. It could have been bad for me if he actually used Superpower on the Roost, because I might have been KO'd in that case. So I Whirlwind him out into Blissey, actually, and that's not really too bad for Skarmory, because it means I can get up a couple layers of spikes, which I'm going to do now. From what I remember, all his Pokemon are grounded, I think, and all the ones that are left anyway, so spikes will be pretty good to set up. I think the team preview actually helps. One thing that I like to do, if you actually care about winning, is on the team preview screen right before the battle starts, I actually snap a picture of it with my phone, so I can look at it for reference later in the battle. It's not really a bad feature, I think, but it actually leads to me over-predicting even more than I usually do. So sometimes it turns out pretty bad for me. Anyway, he goes for a Flamethrower now, gets the Burn Hacks, which is kind of annoying. Although Skarmory isn't really much of an attacker anyway, it's going to neutralize my Leftovers recovery and make me take some extra damage per turn. It turns out that I'm actually running a specially defensive Skarmory, as I said earlier, so I actually could survive that flamethrower, although it's still going to do a pretty decent amount of damage. I really didn't expect Blissey to do that much, to be honest, even though it was super effective. So now I go into Tyranitar on the second flamethrower, and I'm planning to just crunch him for some damage, maybe sacrifice Tyranitar if I need to, because I really don't care that much at this point. It's at pretty low health, and I don't have that much use for it left. I'm pretty sure that I can win without it anyway. So he gets off the Thunder Wave, and I really don't care because Tyranitar doesn't mind being paralyzed that much, because it's pretty slow anyway. So I'm trying to get some damage onto Blissey. I'm not really sure what he's going to do next. And he turns out that he switches back into Scizor, which was a good switch in. I was thinking about Fire Blasting on the switch, but there was probably no need to overpredict. That sometimes leads to a lot of unnecessary predictions. So he goes into Scizor now. I'm just going to sacrifice Tyranitar because I don't want to mispredict or anything. And he just goes for a simple Bullet Punch. So now I'm just going to clean off his team because there's nothing that he has left that can stop Scarf Garchomp. You can basically think of Scarf Garchomp as Scarf Flygon from 4th generation, except way better. I mean, it doesn't get U-turn, but it still has a lot more powerful stabs and a pretty good type coverage. And Bullet Punch doesn't do that much to me because Garchomp, unlike Flygon, can actually take hits. He's actually really bulky, so that's good for me. And I'm just going to finish off his team now with a couple more Earthquakes. His last Pokemon was an Electivire. I'm really not sure why he didn't send that out earlier, actually. It probably would have been a better switch into Skarmory than whatever he sent in. So after all that layer damage from entry hazards, it's going to be definitely in KO range for Garchomp, and I'm going to take him out with Earthquake. So 5-0, good game.